Hey guys, welcome back into the channel. As always, your host here, Clinton Yoder. Got Cory McClendon here beside me, co-host. Man, we are excited to have another episode here on Yoders Talk. We have an amazing guest coming on from HSS Hunter Safety Systems, Mr. Jerry, and I'm excited to get into a lot of stories. We're going to talk about kind of the beginning of his business and just a lot of details throughout the 25 years of them being in business, and so I'm excited. I think it's going to be a really good episode.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. If you're into hunting, you're going to have a great time. But if you want to hear humble beginnings and start of a business and how it's kind of transformed into being a widely known product, this is going to be a great episode for you.
Yes, very purpose-driven business, and you'll hear a lot about that on this episode. So, guys, thank you for being with us. Stay tuned. Here's another episode of Yoders Talk.
For the longest time, I was still in that mindset of, is this going to work? You know, will people buy into buying safety?
Yeah.
You know, we're not in the sexy part of the industry. We're into the safety part of the industry, and that's hard to sell at times.
And not saying that there ain't other scent controls out there that work. I mean, absolutely, but the science behind it makes sense. Yeah. It really does. I mean, and you said this type of product is used in the medical field, correct? So I mean, that in itself tells you something.
I just got frustrated, like I had done many times. Took it off. John did the exact same thing. He tried to get his on and ended up backwards or something messed up. So we put inconvenience between us and safety and almost paid a dear price for it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back into another episode here on Yoders Talk. I'm excited to be here with y'all. Cory, we got an exciting episode today. I got a avid hunter. Had some very good conversations already before this podcast started, and I'm excited to get these conversations going. I think this is going to be really, really good podcast.
Today we want to welcome on Jerry Wydner with HSS Hunter Safety Systems, and we're really honored that you're here with us today to talk about what you guys are doing, talk about the purpose behind what y'all do, and kind of jump into what the future holds for you guys. So
awesome. I'm first of all, I'm privileged to be here, and thank you so much. Sean got in touch with me, and I said I absolutely would love to do it. So thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. It's been I've used your product when I think the first time was when I was 13 years old, and First, I want to just say that the design and things that you did has probably saved hundreds, if not thousands, of lives, or at least major injuries. So it's more of an honor for you to be on here. Just want to say that because it's putting a face behind something that has really meant a lot to me in the hunting world and the hunting industry across America, and I don't know where all, but it's. You've done an amazing thing there.
Well, you know what? I will pass every bit of that unto God, because, and we'll maybe get into that as we go, but God let us into this. God gave us the opportunity for it. He created the reason we should be in it, and he's been behind it from day one.
Love it. Absolutely. Having a reason behind something in a business changes everying. It truly does. So
yeah. So you've been in doing this for how many years now?
You know what? January, which is a couple of months now, we will start our 25th year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's truly amazing to think about that.
That's remarkable.
Because for the longest time, I was still in that mindset of, is this going to work? You know, will people buy into buying safety?
Yeah.
You know, we're not in the sexy part of the industry. We're into the safety part of the industry, and that's hard to sell at times. So to think now that it's lasted 25 years, purely by the grace of God, and opening doors and putting us in a position to be able to save lives. And it's amazing because, you know, you talked about the number of lives. I have no idea how many. But on my desk at work, I've got a little bin where I keep letters that come in, and I've now got right at 700 letters.
Wow.
And I think about that guy that wrote the letter. He fell, the product caught him, he continues hunting, his hunt goes on, He now comes home, puts his stuff away, takes a shower, eats dinner, kiss the kids goodnight, and, oh, I want to write a letter. And then to follow through and do that. Well, who do I write it to? He's got to do a little research. Who am I going to write this to? Then take the time to write it and send it. And 700 times people have done that.
That takes a lot of effort. I mean, I had an occasion where I just about fell and the harness caught me, and I didn't send you a letter. So how many people don't and you have 700
that did?
Wow.
And I'm so humbled and so impressed by those that did. Because I've asked myself that question. Would I be the guy to sit down and write that letter? I would love to say I'm that guy, but I don't think so, because dinner is pretty important. I got things I need to do, but I am always so humbled when people will do that.
Yes.
It's something that stood out to me that you just said is, like, you guys aren't in the everybody, when we think about hunting, we think about camo, and we think about having the best gun and calls and everything else. And safety harnesses are that kind of thing that's in the back of your head.
Absolutely.
And so, and just being your main demographic would be guys, men.
Sure.
Us men are not the most safe creature on this earth, and so it's not our first nature. It's funny. I talk to I've got tons of friends, and none of my friends are really safety oriented people. Honestly, they're like anti-safety oriented people.
Yep.
I'm the dad of the group that's like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do things like that. And so, just thinking through to my friends and stuff, I just think, seeing you guys have success, and even my family, I grew up in a traditionally, hunting. I grew up in Walker County. I was taken hunting when I was little, probably 4 or 5, something like that. Me and my dad went out and sat on the ground for the first time hunting, and shot my deer at a young age, first deer at a young age, and those are rich traditions in this area of family members, and you creating a product that enhances that rich tradition of this area and of our culture is such an honorable thing to do, and you're creating where we can have fun but also do it in a safe way, and I think that's really, really great.
Yes. There's in the early days, we have a tagline. Let me start with that, and our tagline is "Saving lives is what we do." It's just simple. You made reference to the fact that we don't make the sharpest broadhead, the fastest shooting bow, the safest tree stand, or the highest. We make safety equipment, and it can be a dull subject. We're the seatbelt company.
Yeah.
Who wants to talk about their seatbelts? But in those early days, if you can think about this, we come out with a harness that we want to sell you. Now, first of all, harnesses are free, right? You buy a tree stand, you get a harness. So on those early days, I would go in and I'd ask people 3 questions. Number 1, do you have a safety harness? Number 2, do you wear it? And number 3 is, why not?
Yeah.
Because the answers were consistent all the time.
Yes.
Do you have a safety harness? Well, I got 14 of them. Do you wear it? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, why in the world would you not wear it? And the answers were pretty much, you could put them all in a little thumbnail.
I could guess it.
How difficult it is?
You want me to guess it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, they're very uncomfortable. They're hard to put on, and they're more frustrating. They were more frustrating than they're worth dealing with.
Every one of them, right there. You got them in there. And people would put frustration between them and safety, and that's human nature. I don't need that. I've done this all my life. It's not going to happen to me. So here I come along and say, you know what? I've got a safety harness. Now, it's not free. I want to sell it to you for $100. Well, are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
Have you just completely lost your marbles? You want me to buy a safety harness? I don't want the ones I got. So that's where I look at it and say, if God was not involved in our business and our part of the world, there was no road for success. Nobody wanted to hear me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have a problem talking, so I'll talk to people.
Yes.
And I'll show it to them, and I'll demonstrate, and I'll tell them why they need to. But at the bottom line, they have to make the decision
Right.
to actually purchase it. And I remember talking to a man in the industry who had been in the industry for years when I first got started. And I was showing him the product, and I said, what do you think? Give me your honest opinion. And he looked at me, and I remember his words. He said, don't make too many of those.
Mm.
He was telling me, you got an uphill battle, son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who wants to pay for something they get for free?
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to pay for bottled water, in the first years?
Right.
Yeah.
I can go to the faucet and get water. I'm going to pay for water? Well, who doesn't have bottled water now?
Right. Right.
So the acceptance came. I think the timing was great because just prior to us coming in the industry, TMA, Tree Stand Manufacturers Association, had mandated the fact that safety harnesses need to be included in tree stands.
Mm-hmm.
And that was only about for maybe 5-6 years, real early days.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that mandation and people now being exposed to safety harnesses and all the problems and the tangles and the mess and the frustrations, that was the open door that led us into saying, you know what, you can be safe and not be frustrated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You put it on like a vest, click, click, you go hunt.
Well, in the early days, how long did it take? Because to me, the reason I absolutely love them is the comfort, is the how easy they are to put on. But in the early days, that had to take some time to get people to understand. This ain't the old style harness that comes in your tree stand.
Right.
So, in the early days, how long did it take it to really start to catch on in the industry? I mean, year, 2 years.
Again, it's a good question, and the answer is probably not as easy as the question is.
Right.
But I think, again, I got to go back to God's involvement, because had we have had immediate success and it really took off well, it'd have failed because I couldn't have kept up with it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the finances to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as I'm working hard to make that happen, I now look retrospect back at it and thank God for unanswered prayers that it didn't happen the way I was praying for it to happen, because we'd have been out of business.
Mm-hmm.
So it grew. Every year it grew. It grew and it grew, but it grew at a level that I was able to go to the bank, get some financing. Of course, my house was put up for collateral. Everything I owned was collateralized, and that's something difficult to talk to your wife about.
Yeah. Yes.
Honey, if this doesn't work, not only do we not have a home to live in, we don't have a car anymore, I don't have an income anymore, and we're going to be on the street.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people face in today's world in business. They have a good idea, but they're afraid to take that step because of the risk. And I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of them things. But our slogan here on the podcast is lead with purpose. Having a purpose driven behind what you do, kind of it outweighs the risk. If you have a reason behind what you do, it outweighs the risk that you have to take. And that sounds like in your story, that's kind of the fact. You've seen an area, and I'll let you go into, I'm assuming you have some stories for the reason behind it. But most people out there, they have a reason, there's a reason behind what their idea or what they're wanting to start, the business they're wanting to get into, something that happened in their personal life, their professional life, things of that nature. But if you don't mind kind of sharing some stories, or if you have a story on kind of what led you to want to start this business.
Well, my brother and I were hunting down in South Alabama. This was way back late 1999, 2000. And we were hunting with climbers. That was our choice at that point. And we both had harnesses. We climbed our trees before daylight, and I am just getting myself situated. I'm getting ready to hang my bow, and I get a call from my brother. Now, it wasn't a cell phone. We didn't have one, but we had the two-way radios. So he calls me, and he said, "Are you up your tree?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "I need help. Hurry, and bring your stand." That was a message I wasn't prepared to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And I could hear in his voice the little tremble, the little fear. So I didn't ask a question. I grabbed my stuff. I got down the tree and I ran to get to him just as quickly as I could. Well, the base of his stand fell out from under him, and unlike what the book says to do, attach the climber to the base. We didn't do that.
Well, I mean, I've had that same experience, so I understand.
So, there we go. We're human. We're men.
Yes.
We're doing those things that we do. So, shorten the story, we got him to the ground. John's bleeding. He's totally exhausted. I mean, he is spent, absolutely spent. He's alive. He's not hurt. And I remember looking at him once all the fear is gone, and I said, John, why weren't you wearing your harness? And he looked back at me and said, were you wearing yours?
Mm.
That was the moment. And both of us had a harness. Both of us tried to put it on that morning. I remember finally getting mine on at my tree, and it's upside down.
Mm.
And I just got frustrated, like I had done many times. Took it off. John did the exact same thing. He tried to get his on and ended up backwards or something messed up. So we put inconvenience between us and safety and almost paid a dear price for it.
Yeah.
We were staying in a camper, South Alabama, that night. We got back there and we said, you know what? We have families depending on us. I got kids. I got a wife. I've got an employer that depends on me. And we've got to find a way to make sure that we wear our harness. So we started, we got pieces of paper out. We spent all night drawing. Why don't we wear our harness? What do we not like about our harness? Why are we refusing to wear our harness? And we would put all those things down. And finally, we came up with a drawing of the hunter safety system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And absolutely no intentions of selling one.
Mm-hmm.
I needed one. My brother needed one. And we had a good friend that we hunted with, Jim Barta, who was with us in the industry as well until he retired. But I wanted him to have one. So we wanted 3 harnesses. John was driving back because he lived here. I lived in South Alabama at the time. John comes back and thinking, I got to get one sewn. So he's thinking, who do I know that has a sewing machine? His sister-in-law. I'm going to go to her. I took her some material. He went and bought some Mossio camo. He had a harness. He brought it to her with a pattern and said, can you sew this? Mm-hmm. She said, well, I'd rather not. But he says, would you please do this? She did, put it together, gave it to him. And John said, you know what? That's perfect. I need 2 more. And she said, you'll never get another one from me. That's it.
Yeah.
And John said, what are you talking about? I need 3 of these. No, you don't. You got one, you live with it because I'm not building another one. Mm-hmm. And he said, what's the problem? She says, that was a nightmare trying to put that together. So we go, John gets on the phone. Now, again, you think of God's intervention and how things work. John says, I need to find a sewing factory, somebody that can actually sew into strapping material, not just a sewing machine. It's got to be a certain type of sewing machine. He looks in the phone book and he finds a place that is a sew company, about 15 miles from here, by the way. Calls on the phone and said, listen, I've got something I'd like for you to try. And can you sew a vest? Well, yeah, we can do that. Well, it's not really a vest. It's a vest, but it's built into a safety harness. Can you do that? She said, yeah, we can do that. Right off the bat, John's thinking, she doesn't know what I'm talking about. She can't possibly know what I'm talking about. And she said, well, bring it down. Let me look at it. Brought it down, hands it to her, and she looks at it, and she's kind of going back and forth. And John, who is the engineer in the background, the whole time he's shaking his head. He's like, no. She's trying to make this work. He's going, no. So finally we stopped. John, what, is there an issue here? And he says, there's no way that can be done. He said, that's a great idea. He said, but you can't build it. Can't build it. Why? And he said, well, to try to hold all that together, it's just a manufacturing nightmare. It's going to have to be redesigned. And so we did. We actually went back, redesigned it, brought it back to them, left it with them. They called the next day, said, we got your 2 ready. So all of a sudden that's all we want. 3 of those, we've got them set. And again, no intentions of, we're not selling these. I'm an insurance agent. John works for General Motors. What do we know about the life of commerce and going into business together? So we just wore it hunting. But everywhere we would go, people pull on the tether, or they would ask us, what is that? What are you wearing? And we'd explain it to them, and can you make me one? And it just went like that until finally, and this is a funny part of this story. Okay, there's other people that need this, obviously. Maybe we're supposed to do this. So we put one in a plastic bag, a 3-cent plastic bag, put a little note in it, and we sent it off to Cabela's. No department, nobody's name.
It's Cabela's.
Cabela's. So that shows you how much we know.
Yeah.
And we put a note in there and said, if you like what you see, call us. Well, we're not going to get a phone call. It was about maybe a week and a half later, we get a phone call. Hey, did you send me something? Who is this? I'm so-and-so, the buyer at Cabela's. And I'm like, really?
Wow.
And he said, after a little bit of talk, he said, listen, if I was to give you an order, could you fill it? Well, what are you going to say? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, sure. After all, we've already made 3 of these, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're experts. He said, can you send me 500 of them?
Oh, wow.
Well, that would, yeah, my jaw hit the ground. 500? You know what that's going to cost, John, to build 500 of these? We go down to the bank. I got to get a loan.
Yeah.
It's going to cost us a lot of money to build these things. I got to get the material. We finally get that done. We send them off. But once we got them built, and anybody that's going into business, you'll appreciate the fact that if I can go into business after hearing this story, anybody can.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got them all done, not even thinking to the fact that we got to send these, which means they got to be in boxes. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I got to get boxes. Well, we go up into Decatur. There's a place that has boxes. All right. I need some boxes. All right. Well, the man, he starts getting his calculator, and we told him about the size, and finally he slips it over, and he gives us a price. And, do you have any cheaper boxes? And he says, you want cheaper boxes? And I said, well, maybe, yeah. Well, follow me. So go back in there, and see these boxes right here on the pallet? They're all broken down flat on a pallet. You can have those. Now, I'm not delivering them. You got to pick them up, but you can have them. Those are perfect boxes.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
I love it.
So we got those perfect boxes, boxed it all up, sent those 500 off to Cabela's. 2 weeks later, Cabela's calls and says, guys, I thought you said you sent the harnesses. Yeah, we did. You don't have them? Well, no. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, if they're lost, I got to pay the bank back for these things.
Yeah.
You know, so well, he said, how many boxes were there? I don't remember the number now, but we give him the number, and he's sitting there pondering and thinking. He says, wait a minute, you didn't put those in computer boxes, did you? Yeah, we stuck them in computer boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, oh no. He goes, we've been trying to figure out who ordered all these computers. And
Oh, man.
stuck them in.
Yeah, just stuck 'em.
It said like Dell Computers or some computer company. And then he tells us, he says, don't do that again. Don't put your product in computer boxes. And we're like, okay, we'll learn. So he gives us another order not too long after that. Well, I got more computer boxes back here. I hate to go buy boxes. They were pretty expensive. So I took those computer boxes, cut them up, turned them inside out, so the writing was on the inside of the box, taped them up, sent them off, and everything was happy. So
I love it though. But that's the beginning of the story.
It's how
What
it
you do to make it go
Exactly.
at the beginning is you do whatever it takes.
And you're right.
Whatever it takes. And so that's interesting to me because thinking back in the beginning days, like my father when he started this business, he was a chicken farmer, and after he'd get done doing the chores, he started building a building, and then he'd sell that one, and it's kind of the same story. That's how, or as far as he found this little trailer to haul these little buildings on, and he's pulling with a 150, but you made it. You did what you had to do, and that's in your story. You do what you have to do, and the business owners out there that are wanting to start, don't think that off day one everything has to be perfect. Don't look at what you see on Facebook and what you see on social medias as the standard. You do what you got to do to get it going.
And you know what? To play on what you just said, when that buyer at Cabela's asked us, if I give you an order, can you fill it? He was asking that because after talking to us, he realized we don't know what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he asked the question, could you fill this? Because you don't sound like somebody that could fill this order. And that was exactly it. And we took that. It went. Cabela's, by the way, that first year, they ordered those 500. Came back, they ordered 500 more after that, and then reordered again 500. And to us, that meant every hunter in the world now has a safety harness, so we're done.
Yeah.
You know, that's got to be the end of the business. Again, the mindset of somebody that has no idea what commerce is all about, but boy, do you learn and listen and pray and try to do God's will and let Him take your business and run with it.
So it started out at 3. You went then to order 500.
Yep.
How many? You may have this number, you may not. Roughly how many harnesses do you sell? Like 2024, how many harnesses do you think you guys have sold?
Well, in total?
Yeah, in total. You may not have that number.
You know, I know it's over 1 million.
Yeah.
I don't.
I
don't know if it's 2 million.
Yeah.
I don't know. 25 years.
It's
doing it.
And the reason I ask that question is so many times business owners, we get really wrapped up in, for our industry, the industry I'm in, I work in the metal industry. And so, we think, when we started doing,
well, talk about the podcast even. We started. We said. I remember making the statement. If we ever get to 1,000 subscribers, I don't know what we'd do.
I guess it just goes to you sit here and everyone gets so wrapped up in I've got to do this much if I'm going to be this big, and I'm going to do this, but we get so wrapped up and we have to grow so fast, so quick that we get in over our heads.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a testimony that time, and your dad told me this, small acts over time lead to big changes. And, doing small things, saying, hey, listen, we're going to grow just a little here, and putting it up against the test of time and say 25 years, you look back and you go, oh, wow, look how faithful God's been to us.
Yeah.
And I think it's really encouraging.
It goes back to the fact of, where all the hard work that you've done in the business, behind the scenes, things that people don't see. And all of a sudden, your business is known, I would say, classed as worldwide. And overnight sensation, you get what I mean? People say, he became an overnight sensation. Well, I've been doing it for 20 years.
You're right.
And so it's kind of one of them things where be patient when you start something. Be patient. Don't think that you'll be, known worldwide day one. And that doesn't mean you don't work hard to improve. The goal is to improve your product, improve what you're doing over time, help take the failures, because I guarantee you probably have a list of failures in that you could go over. I know I do in our business.
I got a gold medal in failures. If there's anything that could have gone wrong or a decision that was made wrong, apparently I have a book that I go through and I put that in. So I try hard not to do those mistakes again. We learn from
it. Absolutely.
We go through and make sure that we just don't do that again. But you got to have the purpose.
Yes.
You got to have something that drives you. Our slogan, saving lives is what we do. I got to stay aware of that. I've got to keep thinking that when I make a new product, when I'm coming out with something different, I'm not doing it and can't do it because I can sell more. I can make more money. No, it's got to start with, is it safer? Is it stronger? And then start looking at lighter, more hunter-friendly, better features, hunter-friendly features. But it's got to start with the safety aspect.
Yes. Well, I got their product catalog here, and there's something in here I wanted to there's two things I really stood out to me, and you mentioned the thing of continually improving, continuing growing what you do. In business, you don't just make the same harness, one harness, and then we're just going to run with it. We're done. We're not going to make, you can see over the years, the continued new designs, the things of that nature. But, has it always been, have y'all always designed the safety line? Because there's a step there, and there's a story I have behind that. The reason I asked that, I know y'all have done it for a while because I've used them for a long time. Yep. But was that something y'all designed right out of the gate?
No, not at all. That came about, I'm sorry, that came about from a statistic I saw from a man named L.J. Smith, who was an accident investigator.
Okay.
And he would go in and delve into these different accidents, and he eventually started getting statistics that would come out of what was happening. The one statistic that hit me like a brick was 86% of all tree stand falls happened when the hunter's not in his tree stand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at that time, we build a safety harness. You get up in your stand, you hook up, and you stay safe. You get ready to come down, you disconnect and come down. Okay. If 86% of these falls are happening when you're not in the tree stand, I'm missing the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't working. I'm missing 86% of the opportunities to save a life. So at that point, it was, all right, how in the world do we connect a hunter starting from the ground and the entire hunt until he gets back to the ground? Once a product is developed, it's simple. It's easy. You look at it and say, oh, well, who wouldn't have thought of that? Well, I didn't. But it took a lot of thought. Plus, it's got to be hunter-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be what we call Bubba-proof. We always use the term.
It's got to be great. As somebody that lived in Walker County a lot, that is the best term for it.
Well, we have used that term for years, and we'll sit after we design something and we think we got it. One of the questions we'll ask along the way is it Bubba-proof?
Mm-hmm.
Can Bubba do this? We all know who Bubba is.
Yeah.
Well, Bubba's got to be able to do this without a whole lot of thought. So some of the contraptions we came up with were not necessarily Bubba-proof. They worked. They were safe. Bubba's going to struggle here. Mm-hmm. And then the lifeline. Started looking at the simple. We didn't invent that Prusik knot with the carabiner. That was used in the military,
mm-hmm.
but it wasn't being used in the hunting industry. So if we could bring that, and we started doing tests with it, and testing ropes and building different ropes and different carabiners, different materials for the Prusik knot. And the more we did it, the more we said, you know what, this works every time, each and every time, all the time, which is what we have to have. In my business, I can't have a 98% approval.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That means 2% of the people get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be 100%. Now, I got to be a butt sometimes. If
mm-hmm.
we got a production coming through and it's not right, I got to be able to step up and say, no, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I know we're in mid-grade here, building. We got to stop. We can't do it. It's unacceptable. Start over. So I'm sorry, but that's the way it has to be. But you only have to do that once or twice,
mm-hmm.
and everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Don't skimp. There's no skimping. With Hunter Safety System, I've never been the cheapest product,
mm-hmm.
and I've never apologized for that. But what we are is the best product.
Amen.
And I say that I'm not patting myself on the
I know
back.
that. Yes.
It's first and foremost, saving lives is what we do. If there's a better buckle, we're going to have it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a better stitch, we're going to have it. And now, does that cost more?
Of course,
yeah,
yes.
it does. But it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
When it's needed, it's going to work. Because when it's needed, no one's giving it any thought. It's just right now.
Well, and I think it's something, if you go and ask the people that have experienced falls or failures of other harnesses, and you ask them at that very moment, would you rather spend a little bit more and have a higher quality product? I about guarantee you that they would. And that's one of our core values is quality.
Yeah.
Quality at its best, nothing less. And it's a foundational thing inside of all of our team that, if it doesn't pass our quality test, and that bar's really, really high,
Sure.
then it don't go out of our building. And that's something we coach, and it sounds like you coach as well on your team to make sure that, that is who we are. we're gonna provide a product that's gonna save lives, and it's an awesome thing to see, because I know, I mean, I don't hunt as much anymore. I don't really. It's a problem. It's not a problem that I don't enjoy it. It's a problem that that I don't want to get up that early in the morning.
Sure.
But I've got kids. I've got I do this. I have a wife. I've got people that are, like you said, that are depending on me. And if I'm going to go out, then why wouldn't I do it the safest way possible and with the best quality of product?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to. The reason I asked about that safety line is I got a little story that, and this is a direct thing, ties into what you do here. And so I'm going to say I could drive, so I had to be 16 because it was me and my friend Conrad, which he's been on the podcast here before. And we were down in Hamilton, Alabama, which is would be the west side of Alabama, and we were hunting. And I remember that morning getting he was going to hunt this hang-on stand that was probably about 200 yards ish from me. I was hunting my climber. It was a great morning. I remember getting in the stand. We were seeing a lot of deer. Messaging back and forth that he was seeing deer, I was seeing deer. And I recall sitting there. It was probably about, because he had actually missed a deer that morning, and that was his thing. He was getting down to go check his arrow and things of that nature. And I remember sitting there, and I heard this noise, and I thought it was a dog. I really thought it was a dog or a coyote or something. And it was like a yelp. Looking back, I know what it was, but it sounded like a yelp. And then I heard this thud, just this big thud. And I'm about 200 yards away, so you're sitting there thinking, you're like, what was that? That's strange. You don't hear that in the woods. Tree, maybe a tree fell, maybe I don't know. And then I remember it was about 2 or 3 minutes later, I heard this again. I thought it was a coyote start to yelp and howl, and it took me a little bit, and all of a sudden, the dots connected, and I was like, "Oh man, he just fell from his stand." And so I remember the adrenaline kicked in. I didn't know what I would see when I got there. I didn't know. I did know that I was hearing him, so that's a positive. And I remember going down my climber as fast as I possibly could, and running through the woods. I mean, like I was Braveheart going into battle. Anyway, and I got over there, and he was laying there on the ground, and he was kind of, I recall he was conscious, but he was like, I couldn't tell how seriously injured he was. And he had told me, hey, he was able to tell me that he had shot at a deer, but I knew he had something going on when he kept just repeating himself. Yeah. And it was 3 minutes later, he'd say the same thing. Hey man, I shot a deer, dude. We need to go check the arrow or check for the arrow and things of that nature. So after we got him out of the woods, got him there, and I remember going back and thinking what happened, because he had his harness on, right? He had his harness on and everything. And so, and there's another side of this. This was an old stand that had two pieces, and the top piece was laying on the ground behind him. So I started putting, and he started remembering what happened. And he said, in his stand, he was safe. He had his safety harness on. Everything was perfect. It's like you said. This was back a long time ago. He unhooked, came down. He said his foot slipped, and when his foot slipped, he grabbed the top part of that stand. Well, when he grabbed it, it swung him around, and it somehow, this was an old chain stand. So first of all, the stand wasn't safe. That's where it started. Swung him around, and that's why he fell. So that's why I mentioned that about the safety line. That day moving forward, there's not a stand that I don't have without that. Before I take that first step, I'm clipped in, and it makes it, you feel so much more comfortable. You feel you're not thinking in your mind, well, I hope I'm okay this morning. God protect. Of course, you still ask for protection, but you're not, because accidents happen. It ain't always your fault. Their stands break, things break, and I have people today still say, man, I ain't going to wear no harness. And I'm just like, come on, man, your life is too valuable to not be doing that.
You know, I always try to refer back to those people when they make those comments that's a selfish comment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Because
Very.
you're only talking about yourself.
Amen.
Do you have a wife? Do you have kids?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a boss that relies on you to come to work on Monday? Parents, siblings, people that love you, don't want you to be hurt. Hospitals would love to have you. You know, maybe you like them more than the family. And you can almost shame some people into at least thinking about it, because let's face it, it's never going to happen to us. It's just not gonna until it does.
Yes, and that's a great comment, because I've heard a lot of people say, "Man, it's never going to happen." But the people that it happened to are the same people that said it's never going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you never have an intention of falling from a tree stand.
And you know, I'll mention this too. The word falling is never used in the description of somebody who fell. They will never say, you know what, I was falling. It's always, I fell. Mm-hmm. It's past tense. Mm-hmm. That's how quick it happens. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're there, your thoughts are here, you're looking at this, I'm getting ready to hang something up.
Bam, ground.
I just fell.
And the safety harness is not designed to keep you because the fall is not going to hurt you. The safety line is to protect you when you hit the ground.
That's it.
I mean, that's you know, people talk about falling. It's the ground that hurts.
It's the ground.
that sudden stop.
Maybe a few branches on the way down.
Yeah.
But I had a cousin that fell, broke his leg, and it's kind of the same thing. But a lot of his injuries came from tree branches on the way down.
Sure.
I mean, there's people don't think of that either. So, yeah. And then I noticed here another product here that's and my boys now. I got boys now. I got a 9-year-old that absolutely loves to hunt. I got a 6-year-old that loves to hunt. They both last year amazing hunt. They both harvest bucks on the same night, about an hour apart with crossbow.
Oh, awesome!
And that was amazing. But I noticed that you've designed this the little tree stalker now too. That gives me as a parent confidence to be able to allow my son to be in the stand with me. Because the truth is, hunting the ground is hunting. It's fun. But there's something about being 20 foot up in a tree and giving them the opportunity, because I would never allow my son to go up a tree without a harness. I mean, why would I, right? As a parent, you're not going to put your children in danger. But y'all being able to design that, really, I mean, I love that. I love it. And my son actually has one. So,
Well,
you know,
no, go ahead. No,
I was just going to say, when years ago, kids weren't thought of much in the world of safety harnesses or trying to keep them safe. It's just they're a small segment of going out. But in those early days, we came out with a child unit. Now, that has to be tested like everything else. It was very difficult to get that certified because it wouldn't even fit on the dummy to be used for the test. So we had to just crawl through hoops trying to get this thing tested and certified. But it's so important. You know, we'll make decisions for ourselves that might be totally different than the decisions we're going to make for our kids.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're not putting that child up in that tree. And if you ever did, you're going to hear about it from mama. You know, and God bless her for being that way. But we're going to keep those kids safe. Even like the lifelines. You know, we do the tandem lifeline, and that's meant for father-son, husband-wife, hunter and cameraman, or two people climbing the same tree to where both of those people can be connected 100% of the time, from the time they leave the ground to the time they get back. But you have to start thinking in the safety world, what are the scenarios that happen that I'm leaving undone? You know, so it's my job to think about, how do we fill that hole? Because here's another hole. Let's find a way to do that. So that's it's what we do, and thank God that He leads us into finding a way to do it.
That's what. That's actually I killed my first deer in a double tree stand, ladder stand, with my dad, and it was actually I killed a 1-point spike.
Perfect. Unicorn.
And it was killed a unicorn. And not a broken spike. It was actually, it had a button on one side and a full spike on the other. It was the coolest thing. And I can remember I got that tree stand for Christmas one year. That my dad, you know, me and my dad had been hunting on the ground a ton, and And
so your dad wanted a tree stand.
probably. But I can remember getting that, and and that was big for my dad to, I can remember the first time I hunted that stand, him talking to me about, hey, we're going to do this safe, and it was a very safe process of going up, and as a, a young kid, you're sitting there, your first time climbing up a tree stand, knees get a little wobbly. You're a little nervous once you start getting up and look down. Sure. And so to have a product that, because you're 100% right. What I do that may be unsafe, I will never put my sons, I've got 2 sons, in that situation. So if my boy's hunting a tree stand, they're going to have a harness on, and it's going to be done the safe way. And it's because, I value their life more than I value my own.
And I think that we're just meant to be that way.
Yeah.
Even as men and all the failures we have as men, when it comes to our kids, there's no exception. That's the way it's going to be done. I've always used the reference of, if my child cuts their finger, I bleed.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
It's just the way we are.
Yes.
And I'm going to do everything I can to keep his finger safe, because I don't want to bleed to death over here.
Yeah.
And hearing your heart behind all of this. It says here in my notes that you guys were received the Tree Stand Hall of Fame Award. Is that correct? What was that like to receive that honor?
That was really, really quite an honor. I've been on the board of TMA, Tree Stand Manufacturers Association, for many years, and they have a Hall of Fame board. And they do it as a surprise. You don't know you're going to be inducted into this. And we have an annual conference where the whole tree stand industry gets together once a year, all the manufacturers and the families and the whole portion of it. And it expands really beyond that a little bit. And we have a great time. It's just a wonderful time. We get to meet our competitors, and we get to have a relationship with our competitors. Instead of being angry with somebody that's a competitor, we get to know them, understand them. Well, it was a real shock when at that event, and that was just year before last, they announced that I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I think there's only 8 of us, that have been in. So
it's an honor.
Yeah, it was a very, very humbling honor to think that somebody would even consider us for that.
Yeah, and that's got to be a great representation of all the body of work that you've put in.
It is, and because we do it right. Again, sometimes I can say something, I think people think, here I go again, patting myself on the back, because it's not my glory. This is God's glory. And I think about how lucky I am. Here's the way I think about it, and my brother. God decided there should be a hunter safety system, and he chose me and my brother
to carry out the calling.
I mean, you have to think about that for a moment. Yeah. God said, I'm going to take John and Jerry, and you're going to do that. And that's how I feel about it. Because I wasn't thinking in that line. I'm not doing that. I'm an insurance agent. This is what I do. John works for General Motors. That's what he does. But it was just put on us in a way that we had to listen. We had to see it. We had to hear it. And it led to where we are. And it's not our doing. That's really not our doing. That's God saying, I need this done. I know you'll do it. So I'm going to put it on you. And yeah, you're going to have tribulations. You're going to go through all those things. But we're going to save lives. And I don't know how many lives have been saved. And I'm very humbled and proud of that. But it's God's glory.
Yeah, amen. And because, as business owners and starting a business, there is a sense of, my business coach says this. He says, there's a difference between having pride in your heart than being proud of what you've accomplished. And I see what he's saying. He said, because it's not about being proud of what has been accomplished isn't about you. It's about what God has done through you and the people around you, the people that has been brought into your life to carry out the calling God has on your life. Like, so for example, we hear in our business, we talk about it a lot in our meetings and everything, that look, this business of ours is not ours anyway. It's God's.
Yeah.
This is just the playground that God has given us to carry out his calling on our lives. And if we don't do it well, if we don't try to do it the best we can, you know, we gotta understand that God could have used someone else. He's going to carry out his plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His plan's getting carried out. So make sure that, this sounds crazy, but I say this sometimes, make sure God doesn't fire us in the sense of do a good job, make a great product, do it with quality, do it with, you know, care about what you're doing in every step of the way, because he could have used someone else, but he chose you.
And that's the humbling part.
Absolutely.
And it's something that John and I really adhere to this, and we understand that. And that's so humbling to think that, first of all, does God even know me? You know, he's somebody he's so far above us. And, you know, we pray to him and we get answers of prayer, but does he really know me? Am I worthy of his attention? And for him to look, and I feel this in my heart. I mean, for him to say, Jerry Wydner, right there, you insurance agent, we're about to change stuff, me and you. It can't get more humbling than that.
Oh man, that is great. That is. Yeah, it's just, you know, God has, like it says, his ways are above our ways. His thoughts are above our thoughts. We don't, you know, we don't understand sometimes why God uses, you know, the people he uses, or why he uses us for, you know. And another thing I'd like to say is that just because you are not a business owner, you know, to the audience, that doesn't mean that God doesn't have you exactly where he needs you. You know, in this moment. That doesn't mean that he's not going to call you to a different place and do something different. But in that very moment, right now, God may need you right there. So there's times in life where we are always looking. That doesn't mean you're not trying to improve, trying to become better. Of course you are. That should be your number one goal. But remember to be used right where you are for his glory, no matter what. And sometimes if you start to do that, that's when God says, hey, I got a special calling for you. I'm gonna use you for this. I'm gonna use you for that. And so, because sometimes we like to we put ourselves in these categories, like this and that. But the fact is, it don't matter where you are in life. We're all in the same. According to God, we're in the same playing field. So
and then it's a matter of finding out in your mind and accepting in your mind where you need to be. What's the focal point of your business and where you need to go? How do I get there? How do I stay on track? Because it's easy to get off track. I mean, you know, your business.
Oh, yes.
It's so easy to go into that rabbit hole or get distracted and lose focus. And even the responsibility of your own leadership to those that are depending on you. I read this years ago, and it said the speed of the leader is the speed of the team. And I always try to remind myself of that, because I want to be an example to the team. They're not going to see me with the beer on the weekend over there. You know, they're not going to see me doing things I shouldn't be doing. I've got to be the speed.
The example.
I have to be that example.
Yes.
Don't give them the excuse to say, well, you do it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I need to set the pace, and I need to be the speed of the leader for that team. So it's a little pressure.
It is, yes.
You know, because there's temptations all the time, but you give in to some of those. Well, who am I to now lead this team? You know, so that also is probably God's blessing to me to stay in line too.
Yes.
You know, to give me a focal point to recognize that and to stay on.
That's good. That's real good. I like that.
Yeah.
So,
what does the future look like for you guys? I know you've got a new product line coming out in 2025. The saddle hunting system. That's going to be kind of kind of coming out. Do you want to speak on that just a
Yeah,
little bit?
you know,
that's a new big thing.
It
I
is.
haven't experienced it yet.
Okay.
I'd like to. I mean, I'll wait till I get one of yours.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited about it, and it's funny because I'll go back 5 years ago, and I was anything but excited about it. My staff have been after me for 5 years about, we need to get into this saddle hunting industry. Why would we not get into it? I was concerned about it, like all of us. There's a lot of moving parts in saddle hunting. And all those moving parts are a sample of safety features, either done right or not done right. Mm-hmm. The less moving parts, the easier it is to stay safe. So I was concerned with that. And I recognized a couple areas within the saddle hunting world that I felt needed to be improved on safety. I'm not saying the saddle hunting world's unsafe.
Right.
It is.
But your focus is safety. So that's why you're saying that. You look at every angle.
Yes.
That's what you do. That's what y'all do. Yeah.
So can I build saddles? Sure. Can I build all? Sure. We can do that. We can get into the industry like everybody else. But I just had those concerns. And one of the concerns was gravity's an enemy while you're up. Gravity's going to win every time.
Every time.
You can't beat gravity. And any slack in anything that you have up there that is depending on you to be connected is also an enemy. And I kept looking at and watching saddle hunters in the early stages, and I would cringe a little bit, because I'd watch what they do. They're using their lineman's belt, which they should. Need that lineman's belt to stay steady, to do the work they need, to hang the steps, to hang their stand, to move up and down the tree. But what they were losing is they weren't doubly connected. A lineman's belt is a stability device. It's not it's nothing that's connected to the tree that's actually going to stop a fall. Mm-hmm. That lineman's belt goes around the tree. It doesn't connect to the tree. Mm-hmm. Now your tether rope connects to the tree. Mm-hmm. So I kept looking at it and saying, I'm not comfortable getting into this until people are aware of the fact that they need to stay doubly connected. Mm-hmm. And how can I make that happen? Because you've got your tether rope and you got your lineman's belt. Two separate. One's high, one's lower. Mm-hmm. If I understand the inconvenience of having to stay doubly connected because I got to move this rope, I got to move this rope. And every time I lean forward to move this one, well, this one falls because gravity is the enemy. Slack is the enemy. So for the last few years, been working on trying to find out, can I fix that? Is there a way to take care of that? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to show you what we did.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I brought something. It's called the slap strap.
Okay.
And
it's exciting right here.
A lot of people have not seen this yet. That.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know if you can see that.
Sean, you want to switch to his camera? There we go.
That's a slap strap, and it opens up in the center. And this is coiled steel. When you let go of this,
oh wow,
it slaps back together. So now this goes around the tree. When I arrive at my tree, I slap that up. Hold that right there. Now that's on the tree. Gravity no longer is a problem with my ropes. Because when I put slack now on my rope, that's up against the tree, and it's going to hold the ropes. Now, where are the ropes? In these convenient little saddlebags that are connected, I've got my ropes. Now, one of them is my lineman's rope, and the other is my tether rope. Nice. They are color coordinated, so you know that the orange goes with the orange that's on the saddle that shows you where to connect your lineman's belt.
Yeah.
And the brown is your tether rope. So now I take this, it's against the tree, I clip, and I've got my lineman's belt on. Now that's where most people start and finish when they're going up and down. What I've got now, here's your tether rope. It's above it. Well, it's right there. Why wouldn't I use it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Just go ahead and use it. All I've got to do the girth hitch like everybody does. This comes through. Now I connect this to my bridge. So now I'm connected to my lineman's belt. This is connected to my bridge. I'm connected 100% of the time. Doesn't have to be cinched tight to the tree.
Yeah.
It will cinch to the tree if you fall.
Yeah, absolutely.
It will go.
Yeah.
So people say, well, I don't want to have to cinch that up. Now it's hard to move. No, we'll leave it loose. If you want to leave it loose, it's fine because it's not going to fall down the tree.
Yeah.
We've stopped gravity from being the enemy. Now the slack is no longer the enemy. That stops the slack. We've gotten rid of the two enemies that create danger for hunters. So now I'm connected here. I'm connected to my lineman's belt. And as I'm climbing the tree, I simply up, let go again. When I go to my next level, up, let go again.
Yeah.
Now, that's keeping me connected from the moment I leave the ground to the time I get back to the ground. I have no fear of gravity. I have no fear of any slack in my ropes. I'm doubly connected 100% of the time. Something terrible happens along the way. I'm not relying on the lineman's belt that simply goes around the tree because it's not a secure device to be able to hold me. I'm connected on what will hold me. Convenient bags to keep that. Now, if you'll notice on here, I've got mollies that go all around this. So it's also my accessory strap once I get up there. Once I'm ready to hunt, I get the hooks. You know, the hooks will hook into here. I can hang my bow. I can hang my binoculars or my rattling horns. Now I disconnect from my lineman's belt and I can hang my backpack on this. And I can hang it whatever height I want. These ropes go through these channels. The rope never comes in contact with the tree. What happens to the ropes is you got to replace them because you're constantly moving that against the bark of the tree.
It eats through them,
And it's eating up your rope. This never comes in contact with the tree. So
It's a more durable
it's
product.
a more durable, it's a safer product because of that. So it's the convenience of being my accessory. I've taken away all the dangers. The hunters will love this.
Absolutely.
It's new.
Absolutely.
And they're going to love it for all the hunter safe or the hunter friendly features.
Yes,
of it.
it's not just safety. It's really cool features. Like y'all have done an amazing job with that.
Yeah. It's really a super device.
Yes.
And again, now we've been working on this for a few years to try to get this together. But it's the accessory strap. Hold that again.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to show you this too.
Hold it up,
We came up with this knot. Typically in our world, everything's a Prusik knot. And Prusik knot's great. It works good. But it can get overloaded. And when you really load it up, it's hard to unload it because it'll get so tight.
Yes,
you've
I've experienced it. Yes.
We've come up with this, and we call it our tender hitch knot. And this is connected to my lineman's belt in this case. And with one hand, I can adjust that. I pull it up. I pull back. As soon as that elongates, it locks. When I want to adjust it, one hand, I can pull that up and adjust it any way I want. So again, on the safety side of things, it doesn't take me two hands to adjust my knot. Hold the rope, slide the knot. I want to have 3 points of contact all the time. So I can one hand adjust it. It's safer. It's just safer. It's convenient. A lot of people will use things called a ropeman, which is a medical device, a mechanical device that connects to the rope, and it's great. It works beautifully, but it's heavy, it's metal, and it's expensive. Well, this comes with it. It costs you nothing extra for this. So a lot of thought, a lot of time built into that, and it's called the slap strap. It's going to save lives.
That is great.
It's going to be so convenient for hunters. I think hunters are going to love it. In fact, I know they're loving it now because we exposed this at the Birmingham show.
Okay.
After the Birmingham show, we went to a show up in Pennsylvania. And after that, that's all we've done. We haven't exposed it anywhere else. We haven't advertised it anywhere. And God's taken that and He's spread it because we've gotten 3 different or 4 different orders now coming in. They're gone by the time they come in. I'm out of product. And I haven't advertised it yet. We haven't gone anywhere to advertise it. So it is one of those items that hunters recognize the value, and what I recognize is the safety. So once we had that developed, now I'm comfortable going into the saddle world. So we have saddles. We have all the other equipment needed. We got platforms, and of course the carabiners, your ropes, anything that a hunter is going to need for saddle hunting, we've got that. Now, I want to show you one other.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it.
This is another version of the slap strap. You see that? Again, it's still slap strap on there, but you notice it's thinner, and it only has one rope. This is for the saddle hunter. We call that the combo. It's 2 ropes. You got your bridge rope, and you have your lineman's belt. This is for the guy that hunts out of a climber.
Oh, I love it.
The guy that is going to hang stands today, that needs a lineman's belt. So here we go. I'll let you hold it again.
Yes.
I'm going to run that through the channel. Same thing. Now this is just a different, same knot, just different rope that I've been testing and experimenting with. So I hook this up. I'm hanging stands, let's say today.
Yeah.
Well, I need a lineman's belt to do that. I need to be connected by my tether so I'm safe, but I need that lineman's belt so I can lean back, have 2 hands free to do all my work. While I'm doing that, that's secured to the tree. It's not falling down. It's not getting in my way. When I'm finished hunting, I take that up. I've got my mollies all through there. I can hang all of my gear. It's all up. When I get ready to come down, there's my ropes. Simply connect and stay connected on the way down.
That's for climber hunting. That's huge.
The climber hunter, people won't stay connected because you know how inconvenient that is. I got to keep moving the rope.
I understand that, and I've experienced that.
And
at times.
It takes time. How much time does this take?
Oh, I'm telling you.
I go, slap. I just moved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it stays.
It stays there.
Because I do, the most aggravated thing is when you're trying to climb with a climber, that rope falls, it gets stuck. You forget to move it up, and your climber gets caught.
Gravity and slack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gravity and slack are the enemies to this. It takes care of the gravity, takes care of the slack. It makes it safer, and it's so hunter friendly. So
it is.
This is for saddle hunting, and this is for traditional hunting. There's a model for each.
Yeah.
And of course, it stays
Comes with
convenient,
yeah.
in the bag. Saddle hunters no longer need saddlebags. Your saddlebags carry your ropes.
Yeah.
It carries your accessory strap. You normally have 3 saddlebags.
They don't need it. There
That's
it is.
I don't need them.
Yeah.
So you don't need the ropemans. You don't need the saddlebags. You don't need the accessory strap. It's all in the one product. And it gives you the ability and the opportunity to stay safe 100% of it, like the lifeline. I'm connected from the time I leave the ground till I get back to the ground. No questions. Easy, simple. And both of the ropes on this one, I move at the same time. That's why people don't do it now, because it's very inconvenient to do it now.
And saddle hunting is designed to be able to get up quick, get into places that you used to that you're especially there's a lot of saddle hunters on public land. That's a big thing, because you don't leave a stand in the woods because it may not be there when you get back. I mean,
exactly.
That happens.
Exactly.
And so that is an amazing product, and that is kind of goes right into what we are on this podcast about in your business. You don't stop innovating. You continually getting better, and y'all done that from the beginning all the way up through. Even now, kind of going into the next thing, because this guys, y'all got to check. Yeah, I mean, where's it at? Y'all gonna have to. Them saddle hunters out there. Where
now those
there we
bags,
go. Sean's chasing it.
they'll slide along that.
Let's do it.
Which is one of the.
There we go. Y'all can see that now. Yeah, check them out. Because I know of a couple good friends that are big saddle hunters. And I'm gonna say that because they're not using that. And I'm gonna say something to them about that, because that's a brilliant design.
I believe they'll love it.
Yeah, I'm positive. I'm for sure. I haven't saddle hunted, but I've been interested in it. But I for sure love the idea, because I'm a big climber. I climb a lot. So that one over there is going to be in my arsenal.
Good deal.
But y'all,
I was gonna say, tell us about the scent.
Yeah, a little backstory on this. This is our scent control technology. It's called a LimiShield, and I'm not a chemist. I'm not nearly smart enough to ever come up with something like this, but a man out of North Carolina brought that to my attention several years ago. He came to our office. He said he wanted to show us something, and he started talking about this product that he's got. Well, he uses it in the medical field. He's a chemist, and in doctors' offices, hospitals, dialysis centers, anywhere there's extreme bacteria or the possibility of that, that's where a LimiShield goes. Well, he came and said, you know what, there's a huge opportunity for this to be exposed to hunters, because hunters are worried about scent. Naturally, we all are. Every hunt, that's big enemy. And he said, this absolutely kills the scent, doesn't mask it, doesn't cover it up, doesn't change it into some other odor. Kills it. And it does it on a physical kill, not a chemical kill. There's no chemical. You could, I wouldn't say do it, but if you drank it, you're not going to die. You know, it's not going to.
Right.
And it all starts with this one. This is called the core body foam right here. This goes directly to your skin.
Okay.
It's a foam. You shake it up, squirt it, you put it on your body. And once it goes on your body and dries, it's now permanently on your body. It'll never come off.
Okay.
It's on there permanently. But what happens is over a period of days, you exfoliate your skin.
Yeah.
We exfoliate anywhere from 25,000 to 40,000 skin cells an hour. So it only takes a few days, and
it's gone.
We got to reapply again. But this is FDA approved to go directly to your body. It doesn't leach into your body. There's no alcohol to dry your body out. It stays on the surface. It doesn't leach. It never leaches into the skin. Now, if you saw this under a microscope, it's scary. It's a bed of nails. They're called ion spikes, and they're nails. It's just, I mean, spikes that stick out, billions and billions and billions of them. That ion spike has a positive charge to it, and bacteria, which is a ball, has a negative charge to it. Well, that ball of bacteria, which is where odor comes from, comes in contact with that spike. It's drawn to it because of the polar opposites. So you've got, and boom, it hits it, kills it. The next one hits it, kills it. Hits it, kills it. And it keeps killing it, keeps killing it. Therefore, bacteria causes the odor. If you can kill the odor, not through a chemical or a masking device, just kill it. It kills it completely. You have no body odor.
Yeah.
This, I use it as deodorant. My wife uses it as deodorant. I haven't used deodorant since July of 2018.
Yeah.
I put this under my arms on Monday mornings. That's it. I shower. I still sweat like I always have. I don't have any odor.
Yeah.
There's no odor. And believe me, if I did, my wife's not going to let me in bed. You know, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but I have not used any deodorant whatsoever since July of 2018.
Wow.
Now, the more I say this, the more I hear myself say it, I'm reminded of Jim, the guy that came and showed it to me. He asked me, what do you think? And the fool that I am, I said, Jim, that sounds awesome. Sounds wonderful. But if I'm perfectly honest, I just don't believe you.
Yeah.
I just don't. I've used everything I know to use. And every time a deer gets downwind from me, he blows and it's over. It's just it. I've been bow hunting for 58 years. And I've got a major in spooking deer. I mean, I know how to spook deer, and scent is the number one thing. So since I have been using this, I haven't had one deer pick me up on scent that I'm aware of. Now, I just got back from Kentucky, and I got some footage of there are 4 bucks down here and a couple of does, a couple of fawns, and they are directly downwind of me. And I'm saying this as though it happened this time. This is hundreds of times I've had that, but it just happened last week.
Yeah.
And the person's land that I was hunting on, it was a guide, and he was telling the head guide was telling all the guides where to put people. And he talked about this one stand, and the guide said, no, we can't use that one. It's, the wind's wrong.
Wind's wrong, yeah.
And Tad Ladd, who is the guide there in Kentucky, West Kentucky Whitetails, he said, it doesn't matter to Jerry. Put Jerry there. It won't matter, because I've hunted there before. He uses it. He knows how it works. He understands. He said, it won't matter which way the wind's blowing. I remember getting up in my stand. I got there, and I realized there's a corn. He's got corn out there. It's in Kentucky. And I feel it. I said, well, here we go. I mean, the breeze is directly at the corn, and I have no fear of it because I know I'm a little shielded up. And I had deer after deer come through there. to this day, they don't know I was ever in that stand. They just don't know it. Now, these are wild accusations, and it's hard to believe that sometimes. I always tell people, the best way I know to tell you to test it, to see that you have some believability in what I'm saying, put it under your arms. Take this product, the Core Body Foam. When you get out of the shower, when you're clean, I don't have any odor right now, no bacteria. And this is all you do. I mean, that's it. That's all I need. Put that up. I put that under my arms, and then go to work. Next morning, don't put any deodorant on. Take your shower. Do whatever you want to do. No deodorant. Next morning, same thing. No deodorant. You keep doing that until you finally realize, you know what, I need to redo this again. But you'll be days. It's not hours, it's days.
Yeah.
Before you'll recognize the fact that I've exfoliated, my skin is gone now. But by the way, that skin that exfoliates and goes to the forest floor, it's still on there.
Yeah.
So I don't leave a scent signature in and out of the woods. And that's what deer pick up on. They pick up on our cells that fall off our body, hit on the ground, because you think, what are they smelling? I mean,
my boots have been outside. There's no reason they should be. I mean, my boots are not.
There's no reason I should. But it's your skin that they pick up on. They don't pick up on this. They just flat don't do it. Now, again, these are wild claims. And for anybody that's never used it, some people look at me and I know they'll shake their head, and I just, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but a product like that's so easy to give it a shot.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know why you. I mean, myself, I don't know why you wouldn't at least give it a shot.
Well, I'm gonna be trying it because I'm gonna be going up to the Midwest and this coming next Friday.
Take this, use it.
Okay.
Head to toe.
Head to toe with
head
this.
to toe.
Okay.
When you get out of the shower, you're clean. Head to toe with this.
Okay.
That bottle will last you a whole season.
Okay.
You'll get the whole season out of that.
Okay.
This is the field spray.
Okay. What you see, you can buy at Walmart. All the different brands, you name it. Yeah.
But this is the Shield field spray. Same formula, but you spray your clothes, spray your boots. I spray my bow. I spray everything I take. My backpack. Everything is sprayed down. My hat. So that's your field spray.
Okay.
This is your laundry detergent, washing your laundry. This is the hair and body soap. So we go in there. And then this is what's called Extend.
Okay.
We're so clever. We got an X, a 1, and an O, and a D. Sounds like Extend.
Yeah.
So,
Extend. That's actually pretty cool.
really proud of that. So, yeah. Because I know people look at that and think, well, what is that? How do I say that? I'm like, Extend.
Yeah.
But this is a highly concentrated this.
Yeah.
It's much more concentrated. It's 10 ounces. And if you'll take this 10 ounces, you can treat 10 pounds of clothing for 10 minutes, and your clothing now is permanently sealed with this in it.
Okay.
Now, you have to heat, you put this in 3 gallons of water, and you heat the water to 130 degrees, at least 130. It could be 140, 150, but at least 130 degrees. Stir it up. I put my clothes in a cooler. And then I take that 3 gallons of water and I pour it in the cooler, close the cooler, and leave it there for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So you got 10 ounces, 10 pounds for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
When you take it out, now there'll be soap just sopping wet. Just wring it out, hang it to dry. Don't throw it in the dryer, because at that point it hasn't dried under the product. It doesn't work until it dries in.
Yeah.
You throw it in the dryer's slinging it back out again. So hang it to dry. But once you do, this jacket will never have human odor on it if I treated this jacket. But I do my underwear, my socks, my gloves, everything I'm going to have.
Yeah.
I treat it in this before I ever go.
And then it's a done deal.
Those clothes then are permanently sealed. They're permanently treated with this.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Very interesting. I'm excited to try it. I really am, because you hear, and not saying that there ain't other scent controls out there that work. I mean, absolutely. But the science behind it makes sense. Yeah. It really does. I mean, and you said this type of product is used in the medical field correct? So, I mean, that in itself tells you something.
Yeah, and it's been in the medical field for years.
Yes.
The actual ingredient, it's a word I can't pronounce. I have to always look at it and try to tell you. Now I can't even see it. But it's two big old words about that long. But there's no chemical. There's no chemical in it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect it. I remember when Jim was talking about this stuff. He said, you can throw it in your fish tank. He says, it won't bother your fish. It'll be fine. Doesn't bother because there's no chemical and no alcohol to dry your skin out.
Yeah.
In fact, the one that goes to skin, the core body foam, and this is the key to all of it, because your body will continually try to produce bacteria. And if you've got this on your body, as it produces it, it kills it as it's being produced. Kills it, and it falls off. So
Interesting. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I really am. I'm gonna try. We're gonna be up there. I mean, I'm gonna be doing a gun hunt, so there'll be some blinds and things of that nature. But this property that I'll be hunting is got a whole pile of big fingers. The awesome thing, it's Missouri, but there's a gravel road that separates the farm and Iowa. So we're right in the. It's going to be an amazing hunt, and we get the whole property for the whole week. Good friend of ours. It's going to be good. So I'm going to be getting down into their home, and I'm going to be using this stuff. So I'll let you know.
I want to hear your experience when you have a deer downwind. You'll know which way the wind's blowing.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. You check it every day.
You'll know
before you go.
And when you have that first deer walk through that scent cone, and he just keeps walking.
And he should smell you.
He will smell.
Well, yeah, every deer that
58 years they. And I can't win that battle. I've never been able to win it.
Yes. Interesting.
When I started vetting all of this, and we probably don't have time, but I vetted that in so many ways, and finally went back to Jim, and I went on my hands and knees and said, Jim, I'm so sorry. I insulted you. I'm sorry. This works. Yeah. Please let me have it. Please let me have it. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love how, again, we're talking about innovation in business. It hasn't just stopped with the original safety harness. You've moved into other things, and in businesses out there, like I said, we talk a lot about business on this podcast. You have to continually in your business, talking just business strategy now, you have to continue to develop new products, grow, innovate the products that you have. And but that does not mean you take shortcuts. Like you said, it took you a while. You had to vet it to make sure that is right. So make sure you don't just throw a product out there just to have a new product. Make sure it's the quality of what your integrity behind it, what your business has always embodied, to make sure that continues in a new product, no matter what it is.
I've got a brand that I want to protect.
And absolutely.
If as soon as I put a product out there with my brand on it that either doesn't work or fails in some way, then my whole brand is.
Yeah, it makes the things that did work, the people even put in question at that point. Yes,
yeah.
So that's good stuff. So,
well, man, we could talk
I'm
probably for
you.
another 3 hours, and we may have to have you back on.
I think we need to, because I have so many more questions, but we're running out of time.
either have you back on, or we all need to go out on a hunt sometime. Either one
or both.
Or both. Why not both? But man, just thank you so much. Not only for being here today, thank you for what you're doing for hunters all over. You're saving lives. You're letting dads and moms be with their kids. And just something that hit me when you were talking a while ago, near-death accidents oftentimes can lead to the salvation of an individual. Yes. So I think God definitely has a plan and a purpose for who you are, what you're doing in your company.
Amen.
And I just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what you're doing. I have a ton of hunters in my family, and they better be wearing their safety harnesses.
That's right.
And if Dad doesn't have a safety harness, I know what he's getting for Christmas. Yes. So,
and I will say this too. For me personally, thank you, because you've made my life in the hunting world. I mean, that's my passion. That's what I do when I'm not in my business. I mean, you can ask them. I embody hunting,
Sure.
if you want to call it that. So, but you've made my life in the hunting industry better, more enjoyable, easier, but safer. And like you mentioned, I'm able to get into that stand, get into that spot where I used to not, or I wouldn't have before because of the safety. But now, just being able to be relaxed in your tree stand, knowing that, and you can start truly enjoying how God intended it to be when you're out there. You know, you don't have to sit and worry about, well, am I going to fall? Or, you know, you're scared up there. I remember, I would admit, there's been a time I've gotten to stand without it since I've been wearing it.
Sure.
And
I get it.
But I'll tell you something, that hunt didn't last long because I just did not feel good, didn't feel comfortable. And I got back down and said, you know, this can't happen. I mean, I just can't, you know, once you start to wear it and you start experiencing the things of the rope getting tight and you would have fell, just all that stuff, you start realizing really quick the importance of it. So thank you so much. You and your brother are, you've changed the hunting industry for the better, and thank you. So I just want to thank you for that.
Well,
so.
And if I can take just a second.
Go ahead, absolutely.
Thank y'all, because I'm busy doing what I do. I don't get a lot of opportunity these days to talk to my end users of the products. Mm-hmm. I build them, I make sure they're right, we manage the business, we do what we know to do, but I'm not out there selling it. Mm-hmm. I'm not out there explaining it. This gives an opportunity to do that.
Yes.
And I appreciate the opportunity of that. So I know you reach a lot of people.
Yes.
And those people are hunters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they've got loved ones that they need to be accountable to.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Absolutely. We'll get you back on, and we definitely will. I mean, we got, like I said, I got about 25 more questions here that I wanted to get asked, but so we'll definitely get you back on. But now we're moving into the every week we do, or every episode we do a verse of the week, and I think this verse just goes so well with what we've talked about today. You know, the thing of remaining humble in your business, remaining humble when God does bless your business, and things of that nature. And that is the verse found in Philippians 2:3. It says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain consent." So my encouragement to the audience today with this verse is, whether you're already in business, whether you're wanting to start one, really, even if you're never planning on starting a business, whatever you're doing in life, make sure that you're not doing it out of self-ambition or out of vain consent, because let me tell you something. God has you here on this earth for a reason. He has you where you are for a reason. And remember that, you know, we mentioned earlier in this podcast about the fact of we say it a lot, don't let God fire us, in the sense, and that sounds harsh. I don't feel like that's the way he looks at it, but his will always gets done. So when he calls you to something, remember to give him the glory, give him the honor, and not yourself. Because he's the reason we are here. He's the reason that you have what you have. And so just find that purpose behind what you're doing and let it be God-centered, because that's don't miss that point. So many times, and I've failed in this area where I've allowed myself to get in the forefront of it, and God will quickly humble you if you do that. I'm telling you, it's happened to me personally many of times. And, you know, I always go back to, and I always say this, well, Clinton got in the way again. It's time I back up. You know, and so I just thought that verse went really good again. Philippians 2:3, do nothing out of self-ambition or vain consent. And it does continue to say, rather in humility, value others above yourself. So I love that verse. Guys, thank y'all for tuning in to this podcast. Y'all have been an amazing audience. We say this every episode, but it blows us away at the support that y'all have given us. Just continuing to give us. We are just two guys here that are never dreamed we would be where we are with this thing. We're just normal people. We live normal lives. We run regular businesses. We go to Walmart and get our groceries. We're just, again, like I said, we're just normal people that God has given us a platform to be able to speak about what our passion of what we do. So I want to just personally thank y'all. I think we just pass over to 63,000 63,000 subscribers. I mean, it blows me away. I don't understand it, don't get it, but God gets it. I'll say that because it's not us, it's him that's doing this. So thank y'all. We love y'all. make sure y'all continue to tune in to the YouTube. We're on Spotify, other platforms. You can message us on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. If you have anything that you would like for us to discuss around the business world, we'd love to hear that from you, and we'll gladly get that into our podcast. And we're going to continue doing this. We have a few more episodes for this season, and then we'll probably take a break over the holidays and get back to it again February, March-ish. We haven't set the date for season 4 yet, but it will be coming. We continue having exciting guests that will be coming on, things of that nature. We'll be going back to Africa next year for another business conference, so pray for us for that God can direct that area. So yeah, just thank y'all. We love y'all. We pray for y'all, and we hope that God truly blesses you in whatever he has you in. And remember, as we always say, as we leave the podcast, whatever you do, make sure you lead with purpose and let it be a God-given purpose. We love you, and God bless you. Have a great week. Hey guys, thank you so much for being with us today. We are so excited to continue this season. Make sure that you like and subscribe to our YouTube and Spotify.
And make sure to leave us a comment. We would love to hear your thoughts. And remember, always lead with a purpose.